Hey guys, welcome back. We got some more Project F stuff going on today. I did have some Bonneville stuff actually going on here. So just before I started making this, I guess I could have recorded it, but I feel like I would have gotten some performance anxiety or whatever you call it. But I welded up the transmission adapter for the engine stand. So I'll put a photo of kind of what it's designed after. But this will sit inside the red Harbor Freight engine stand, and then this side right here, the 2 3/4 side, will fit this black bracket. So it'll face it this way, so it'll attach to the bell housing of a front-wheel drive transmission. We bought a engine stand adapter for Vince's Trans Am when we were doing the 4L60. This guy right here, but fortunately that doesn't work. Well, I mean, I actually don't know if it works. I've not really looked into it. I don't think it would work how we want it to. So this is a modular thing that will be able to go into the Harbor Freight engine stand. The one that I've seen online basically just took one of these plates and just welded a flat piece to a 2 3/8 pipe like that. So this one will allow you to retain your engine stand as well as having an adapter for your front-wheel drive, like 4T65E transmission. And honestly, it should work with other front-wheel drive transmissions. We'll see about posting some videos of this. I posted the whole story on my Instagram. The huge key here was this guy right here. So I picked up this tube notcher up to 3 inches. So that's pretty big. I'm not certain how big it can get. This is 2 3/4, and that nut there, or that bolt, looks like it might come in contact with it. How it works. And I bought enough for 2 of these transmission mounts in case one of you guys want it, because I know everybody's hot rodding their 3800s, and there's really no engine stand out there for them. So basically this is how it goes. You set your angle, which I found was good to use one of these, 90-degree triangles. I can't really do it so well since this is extended, but basically measure from the face right there to the angle there, and you can set 90 degrees as the best you reasonably can. Make sure everything's tight and lubed, and I mean, it hooks up to a normal drill, and then there you go. You're able to pretty much notch them very quickly. This thing can chew through metal like, I mean, it takes like 20 seconds. Just make sure you have cutting oil. Obviously not perfect welds. This is my actual first project welding. I didn't blow any holes in it really. Any spots that kind of didn't get filled in, I went back over with some filler. I mean, obviously it is kind of boogery in some spots. There's some welds that I'm proud of on here, but I mean, it works. I filled this with water. It holds water. Stout, for sure. If it needs more structure, I can cut like a triangle like that and weld that in there, but, gusset it on either side. Don't think it'll be needed, so once we have one of these engine stands open, I'm going to test fit this thing up, see where we need to drill holes for the dowels. Also, with how this is going to work, I might need to drill and hole like a nut and bolt through here, so the kit will include hardware. And if there's enough interest in these guys, I'll make them and sell them for you guys if you want. So where we left off on the engine here, we had this cylinder head on, but we had accidentally flipped both head gaskets and cylinder heads, so I actually went back, took this all apart. Also the cam retaining plate, you're not going to be able to see it, but there's a cam plate that sits behind here with 2 bolts. Took the timing back out, pretty much everything back to the beginning of that previous episode. Got timing set again. I got some paint marker on where the dot at the top of its, I don't know, you hear travel, whatever. It'll match up with that green dot, so we know where timing's set. I mean, timing's set here, obviously, but we can see if the chain skipped a tooth or not, which I think would be pretty impossible on a double chain like this, but who knows. Also, on the head studs, I'm going to have to do on this one, I already unscrewed this guy. All the head studs, we're going to put some PTFE plumber's tape on, because you can see in these water jackets, you can actually reach your finger in there and touch the bottom of the stud. And with coolant going through here, especially Dex Cool, it would actually eat away the head studs in, some 3800s. But particularly in our case, and what we think is going on with the Bonneville, is some coolant is escaping through the threads, on the Bonneville, and that's where we're seeing some weeping of coolant. We already replaced the lower intake manifold gaskets. I guess once we have the transmission back out again, we can go ahead and give it another try with some new gaskets and more RTV or, you know, whatever we need. But we think we're going to do the same thing on Tristan's Bonneville. We're going to take the studs out and pipe thread these guys. So I'm going to go through the tedious process of unscrewing each of these, putting some thread tape on it, torquing it back down, which is just hand tight, and then we'll work on putting the head gasket on, cylinder head on, torquing it to spec, as well as getting push rods, lifters, the lifter guides in. And I think that's where we're going to end it off. Just get the whole bottom end finished up. Tristan still hasn't dropped off the double thick gasket, so we can't get the front cover on. But Project F's engine, the whole, you know, long block, I guess you'd call it, is effectively going to be done by the end of this. Before we continue, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Liking the video definitely helps the video get out with YouTube's algorithm, so we'd very much appreciate that. Alright guys, got the studs in and out, got them with plumber's tape on there. I mean, like I said, you're not going to be able to see there, but they do all come through to water jackets. So ARP instructions typically say that you want to put like lube on the threads, so when you torque it down, it seats perfectly. Pretty standard with all ARP stuff. It did seem like we actually weren't the ones who put the ARP head studs in, it was a machine shop who did it. It's kind of unclear if there was any lube on them, because some of them seemed like they did have residue, some did not. So either way, I'm going to trust the PTFE tape. Some people might, you know, have opinions about it, but that's how we're going to be running it. You know, feel free to have a discussion in the comments about that and let us know if we're doing something horribly wrong. And, you know, we'll read those for sure. But I'm going to go ahead now, clean the surface just a little bit, get the head gasket all clean as well. Put that on, then we'll be able to, I'll double check the head as well and get the head on too. Alright guys, kind of last step here. I'm going to go ahead and take off the rockers so we can get the push rods and lifters and guides and whatnot. These are ZZP reusable rocker bolts, so we're going to go ahead and just take these guys out. When torquing them back, it says that the torque spec is like 22 foot-pounds. You can go ahead and check for valve lash, which I think we're going to go ahead and do. Basically, what you do is you get the engine at top dead center. Honestly, don't listen to me right now, guys. I actually don't know. I'm going to be Googling it, but I believe it's you get it at top dead center, and then you check the valve lash between these. You get a feeler gauge between there. It tells you if you need to loosen or tighten this. Just get enough preload under here. So, like I said, don't listen to me. I'm going to be Googling it right after this, so don't worry about that. That's basically the goal is to make sure that these are tightened properly. You can just go with the standard, you know, like 22, I think it's like 22 to 28 foot-pounds. Should be pretty decent, but you can dial it in a bit more. God dang it. it is all torqued down. I didn't do the valve lash. I'll just do that at a later date when Tristan's over. But turning it over, everything sounds good. You can see everything, all the rockers going. Push rods are moving. And on this side here, that right there is top dead center, where these are not. Basically the exhaust valve is closed and the intake valve is closed. And I mean, that movement's just the rocker head here. And that's where you would check for valve lash, like I was saying. You get a feeler gauge under there and tighten or loosen depending on what we're looking for. And then you can go to each bank. You just need to make sure that they're also both not, you know, in a with the valves open, intake or exhaust. And again, I might be explaining that totally wrong. I'm not an expert on that. As you can see, guys, the entire long block is basically done. Timing set perfectly, top dead center right now. Everything's torqued down. We could just put this in right now, but we are going to check the valve lash like I mentioned. I don't know if I did mention it, but these are Comp Cam's 135-pound springs, ZZP reusable rocker arms. We're using LS7 lifters. We're using ZZP 7-inch push rods. That's also another thing you can see here if you can move the push rods while top dead center. Another thing regarding the lash adjustment, we're using I forget the brand, but this is a double roller timing chain. Also, we have new oil pump gears for the whole thing. Just need the double thick gasket. When you're running a double chain like this, you do have to delete the balance shaft, which we did. Kind of a mangled jury rig job there, but we just cut the end of the balance shaft off and then filled it with RTV. So I mean, this thing's not coming out at all. No oil should be coming out. Basically, there's an oil hole that needs to be plugged. We're reusing our lifter guides, but that's perfectly fine. New engine tech valve spring retainers, or no, these probably came with the comp cams. ARP head studs with the Teflon tape, like I said. Multi-layer metal head gaskets, ARP main studs. Basically, the whole rotating assembly was cleaned up and balanced by the machine shop like 2 years ago. So yeah, the whole thing's ready to go. Basically, just waiting on the front cover gasket to get that on. Still need to clean up the oil pan to get that back on. Our valve covers are sitting around somewhere, and Tristan's bringing over the welded 92 mil Camaro intake on here. We also need to do some modification to that. We need to like tap the injector holes because we're going to be using the injector holes that go to the stock cylinder heads. I think that's going to do it, guys. Not tons of work today, but we got the whole rotating assembly done on Project F's engine. Appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to the channel and like the video. Liking the video helps it get out to YouTube. Also, if you're interested in one of these guys for your 4T65E, it's an adapter to Harbor Freight engine stand, so you can kind of rebuild it in a nice controlled manner. But like I said, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.